Are we good? Do we have enough?
Yes, all set.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Brophy, and I am the chair of the Planning Board Subcommittee on the Capital Improvement Budget and Program. I would like to acknowledge the committee members present with us this evening. When you hear your name, please say aye. Please remember to unmute your microphones. Mr. Array,
Aye.
Mr. Brady, Mr. Duval,
Aye.
Ms. German,
Aye.
Mr. Halupka,
Aye.
Mr. Heckman,
Aye.
Mr. Heinel,
Aye.
Mr. Hinton, Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Miss Lilly,
Aye.
Miss Meneses, Miss Pinero, Mr. Schulman,
Aye.
Mr. Tennant. Thank you, everyone. Tonight, we are meeting in a work session to hear from the Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability, the Office of Information Technology, and the Department of Planning. After each presentation, members of the committee will have the opportunity to ask questions of the presenter. Before we begin the presentations, I want to note that I know there are members of the community in attendance of tonight's meeting. This meeting has not been designed to accept comments from citizens. The Planning Board held a citizen input meeting on October 16, 2025, which was the opportunity for the board to hear from citizens on their issues concerning the capital improvement program. Now I would like to invite Mr. Horacio Tablada from the Department of Environmental Protection and Sustainability to begin his presentation.
Good evening. I think Taylor's going to run it for me, the presentation. All right, good evening again. Horacio Tablada, the Director of Environmental Protection. And believe it or not, this is my third year presenting to the Planning Board. I became Director of Environmental Protection in July 2023. And it's been a lot of learning experience, a lot of good projects, a lot of good things. And I appreciate the Planning Board for their services to the community, and inputs are always valuable. So let's go to the next slide. Basically the Taylor, you're going to advance it. Okay, good. This is the organizational chart. The only thing I wanted to highlight here today is that last year this so we were able to a stormwater door that helped.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tablada, you're breaking in and out a little bit. Is that the same for everybody else?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if it's your connection.
Our program to review the
Thank you so much.
let me switch let me switch the headphones. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. Can you hear me better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I went be off camera too, just in case there's the internet. So anyway, I was saying last year at this time we had 93 FTE in our department, and now we have 94. So we were able to secure one additional stormwater reviewer that helps with reviewing stormwater projects. And so that was, not much growth, but it's still significant for us. The next slide. This is the capital program drivers that we have, and you're very familiar. Maybe some of you are not. Basically, there is the MS4 permit is a key issue for us. Most of the capital program is to support the MS4 permit requirement. And the last permit that we have was issued in November 2021, which expires this November 2026. They're 5-year permit. We anticipate that it will be continue to, when MDE does not renew the permit on time, the old permit remains in effect until a new one is issued. So probably be 2027 or later before we have a new permit. In the meantime, all requirements apply. So we have to comply with the everything in the MS4 permit. The main driver in the permit is we have to do impervious surface restoration, which for Baltimore County was 3,167 acres. We have a high percentage, 80% or so or more. So we are way ahead of the curve to meet this deadline. We submitted a report to MDE at the end of December with details all the requirements for the MS4 permit. In addition to that, we had the Chesapeake Bay total maximum daily loads, and that's the pollution diet for the bay. That's how much pollutants can be discharged, and that drives to local TMDLs, which affects Baltimore County, because those are the ones in the John Falls, Herring Run, and all the main tributaries in the program there. Next slide. As everything that with this, just maybe familiar with this slide here, everything that we've done has a link to sustainability, whether it be to prevent flooding, to increase the ravine protection, and sea level rise, and things like that. So everything, all our programs are a component, as you can see from this table, that links to some area of climate or sustainability, and that's always, we keep that in the back of our projects here. Next slide. All right. This one here, getting us zeroing into our capital improvement projects. They're basically 4 areas for FY27. The area of stream restoration, shoreline stabilization and enhancement, stormwater facility maintenance and BMP improvements, reforestation, and also when it talked about salt and PCB management. So this is the 5 bullets that we're going to dive in the next few slides. Next one, please. So stream restoration, this is our bread and butter capital project that we have at the department, and includes the restoring streams. And there's 3 phases to the stream restoration. The first is where our scientists got on site and assess which stream will meet the criteria for a project. Not every stream meets the criteria. We're looking for areas where we can reestablish a habitat, where we can establish water quality improvement, flood mitigation, wetlands creation. So there are 4 or 5 criteria that we use when we select a project. As you can see here, this one's Ben's Run, Old Court Road, and the before and after picture. You can see it was cut into the slope there, and in the after picture, you have a little pool there that creates habitat. So it's improves the water quality, and this is just before and after picture. And we have like this many pictures to show that like that. Next slide. So since 1994, when we started this project to FY26, we have 107 projects in the county that completed. Approximately $180 million taxpayers' money has happened, has been spent here. For FY27, our request is $3 million. Now, this year is at what we call the $2 million from the projects. We get $2 million for this year, 20 million in the other years. So this is what we call low budget year. The 3 million comes from leftover money from previous fiscal years. So that one would pay for one project that is under construction right now. The proposing we're proposing for the next fiscal years from 28 to 30, 6 projects and construction of 2. That the design of 6, construction of 2, for a total of $9.8 million. And you can see, if you can, probably I can enlarge your PowerPoint, you can see the locations where those projects have occurred. Next slide. So the next part is streamline restoration. Now we go to the shoreline stabilization and enhancement. These are projects done along the shoreline in Baltimore County. This is just a picture of one, the before and after, as you can see there. Let's go to the next slide, please. Shoreline stabilization has been 1991 through 26. We have done 43 projects at a cost of $27 million. In FY27, the fiscal year that we are going to begin next in July 1, we have a request of $1.5 million for construction of 2 projects. In FY28 to fiscal 30, we will have 4 new projects in the works and 1 project in the construction, in design, and that would be for a total of $9 million, and one project in design and 4 in construction. So these ones are more along the shorelines, and they're very important projects because they do climate resiliency, and also they enhance the shoreline. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. In addition to the shoreline and the stream restorations, we do what's called the BMP improvements in the stormwater system that the county owns and maintains. And this is one picture where in the watershed river, where we actually see the outfalls and the filters along the edges of the before discharge. So what we're achieving in the stormwater, when we improve the pond, we improve for water quality and for water controls, with its discharge controls. Next slide. From 2013 to 2026, we have done 194 best management practices projects at a cost of $18 million. We're proposing in 27, 3.6 million for about 9 water quality projects, 19 BMPs, repairs, and maintenance. The county has over 5,000 stormwater management ponds in the county. About 1,500 or 1,800 are county owned, that we're responsible for not just inspection, but we're responsible for maintaining them. So, but this is every 3 years we go to each facility and do a full report, inspect them, and make requirements. I mean, the county owned, we do the actual repairs ourselves. Next slide. This is the innovative technology that we're using as a BMP, is floating treatment wetlands. We've done one in the White Marsh area, and we're doing another one. What this is where in the ponds that have hold water, we put in these floating wetlands on top, and the floating wetlands are able to absorb nutrients, increase dissolved oxygen, cool the temperature in the water, uh, and it also retains sediments. So all those are very valuable to achieve water quality improvements. And so far, the first one that we've done has given us good results. So we're doing a second one that hopefully uh, can be reproduced in other parts of the city. The disadvantage of this is that it only can be used if in stormwater ponds that hold water, and it has to be water that is 6 feet deep. So it cannot be used in just in any pond. So that's where the limitations that we have. But in the meantime, where we can, we're going to be using this and multiply this. Next slide. Now, so moving down from the stormwater ponds, we go to reforestation. And this area, there's 4 areas of reforestation activities. One is we focus in the rural areas, the urban areas, then some called Project Retree, which is more in the disadvantaged areas where they really have no trees. And then the fourth part of our focus is tree maintenance. Because without maintaining the trees that we plant, then you're just wasting your money. And that's something that we do. So next slide, we're going through each one of these. In the urban and rural reforestation, we had done from 2013 to 2026, 201 projects, about 375 acres, which represents about 54,000, almost 54,000 trees, at a cost of $6 million, almost $7 million. For FY27, we're requesting $1.1 million in funding for an additional 40 acres of reforestation. The proposing the 40 acres per year is a goal that we have, and that will carry us through from FY28 to FY30. The one thing that I want to caution here is that that we plant more and more trees, the location to plant trees become very is diminishing. So it's not. It used to be easy to find 20 acres, 10 acres. Now it's harder to find them. So we plant in county-owned properties, of course, and schools to some degree, and anything that's related to the county, but also in the private sector that they make their land available. Next slide. This is the Project Retree. The Project Retree focuses in urban areas, but in areas that have been disadvantaged for trees over the years. And we used to have 2 programs related to this. We combined them into one. We used to call them Retree and Street Tree, and it was very confusing because they both were achieving the same goal. It's basically trying to plant trees in urban areas where trees have been deplenished. And then from right now, our goal in 27 would be we received $625,000 from in the operating budget, and we're going to plant an additional 1,000 trees in these areas. Now you can see in the dots there, mainly is in the Dundalk area, Arbutus area, Lansdowne areas where period of time has been disadvantaged for trees. Next slide. And this is the maintenance part. This is just that, as I mentioned, without good maintenance, your trees are going to die or suffer. So we go to, when we do contracts with the contractors, the first 1 year of maintenance included in the contract. But after that, we have the program have to maintain them. And we prevent against deer eating the trees, against any other damage that comes from strong winds and things like that. So we repair them and we fix them up. As you can see, some of them have protections around them, so the wild animals don't come and try to destroy them. Also, we do some maintenance in urban areas where we partner with Public Works Department, and creating like wells where the trees go in the sidewalks. And that's something that also that we do. We're proposing 18 in for 27, $330,000. That would give us 18 plus or minus 18 maintenance projects. Next slide. So this is part. So far we've been through stream restorations, coastal resiliency, reforestation, and this part of the MS4 permit requires us to provide a salt management plan. And here I am talking the weekend, a few days before the weekend storm that we're anticipating. And the salt management is very important because we have partnered with Department of Public Works and Transportation and into the amount of salt that gets applied on the county roads, but also with disseminating this information to private partners through social media and through other ways. The CEQ, Council of Environmental Quality, help us promote this. And basically it's helping people not or apply for salt, just apply enough salt to be safe, but not or apply that to the point that it creates a runoff eventually and polluting the waterways. So this is something that was submitted to MDE in December 2024. It was updated in December 20. The update to the plan will be this year, and basically it's just working to minimize the amount of salt. Don't oversalt. Just apply salt enough to maintain the safety of the roads and safety on the sidewalks. I definitely, as old as I get, I don't like to walk on ice. I'm very careful because it's, every fall is serious. So I always like enough salt, but I do not like to see over salting. And we have some targets there, like 500 pounds of salt per lane or mile for every inch of snow. So this is a document that we have given to MDE and we use and provide it to anyone that asks for it that for the salt applications. Next slide. In addition to salt, PCB is a contaminant that is a forever type of chemical, and the county received 9.5 million from the Monsanto lawsuit, and we're using this money to sample the streams in Baltimore County and try to find the sources so we can remove the sources and be able to eventually restore the waterways free from this pollutant. A lot of fish consumptions are limited or banned in Baltimore County around the Bay Area because of PCB contamination with the fish. Next slide shows you how we're going to do it. So there's 3 phases to this one. We're in phase 1, starting phase 2 pretty soon, where we've done the bigger sub-watersheds first, and then we go to the 3 parts of the watershed. So when we find some contamination, we trace it back to the source. And that's where we go from phase 1, phase 2 to phase 3. And eventually MDE will help us with the cleanups. If we find a source of contamination, because it's a hazardous waste, MDE and EPA will clean it up. And the goal is to remove, our goal is to identify the sources. And the goal for once identified the sources, to remove the sources. And that's pretty much it. I think this is the last slide. Yes. So I'm going to get off camera. So let me put myself on camera so you guys can see me there. There you go. All right.
Thank
So
you, Mr. Zapata. We appreciate it.
So
Go ahead,
questions
sorry.
or comments?
Yep, that's what I was just about to ask. If anybody on the board has questions for Mr. Zapata, please raise your hand so that I can see. Scrolling through. Mr. Holupka?
Thanks. Appreciate the presentation. A question that I've been asking all of the different departments. across your different programs, stream restoration, et cetera, shoreline stabilization, do we have backlogs, or are we pretty much able to keep up with the places that you're identifying?
We're keeping up with the places we identify because there's a capacity of the technical contractors that can do this work. Not anyone can do it. We also have limitations when we can go in the streams to do it. There's a MDE closes the stream certain times for spawning of the fish. So you have to work at a certain pace. So we don't because we are seeing improvements in water quality. We are at a good pace. There's no backlog of projects because the staff identifies them first. We do a technical assessment, and then if it's suitable for design and construction, then we move to the next level, and then we get the money from the capital and funds, and then we do it from there, and then we post monitor. Not once we construct, then we go back to post monitor, and that's some part of the program.
Mhm.
So.
And then a quick second question: the shoreline stabilization programs, is that just on county property, or does that also include private property?
That is primarily a county property, I believe.
Right. Thanks.
And there are shoreline stabilization private projects done by private sector.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lockheed Martin had done some in the Middle River out of their own monies.
Thank you. Mr. Brady, did you have a question?
Yes. When you make your request for the fiscal years, how close are you getting to the amount of money you are requesting?
Well, there's always room for a little bit more money. However, as I mentioned, the capacity is an issue for us because we only have so much staff and we only have so many contractors we can use. So so right now my department gets in 1 year we get it's called on cycle and off cycle years. In the last year we got 20 million, mainly bond money. This year we get 2 million. So next year we're back to 20 million, but I have to go back to be approved by the citizens, the bond money. So we're there are one thing that we do, and my staff is very good. By the way, I have staff listening right now, and they're one of the best that we have, and Baltimore County should be proud of them because what we do is we watch every penny, and sometimes when a project is closed, we have money left over on that project, so that money is rolled over to a new project. So we keep rolling leftover money into new projects. So it helps us maximize that dollar that is given to us by the taxpayers. Are we back to your question? If do we have some projects behind? We could do private, maybe a little more projects, but I feel that we are adequate keeping pace with the projects with the money we have. So if you were to give me, $5 million all at once, I would not be able to manage it and spend it. It would be just sitting there.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Tawada? I did not see any other hands raised. Okay. Thank you so much, HT. I appreciate it. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Emily, and thank everybody again for your service and valuable input.
Thank you. Okay, next, I would like to invite, and I apologize, Mr. Momin Abuker and Ms. Dana Walker from the Office of Information Technology to begin their presentation. Please correct me if I pronounce your name wrong.
It's okay. It's Abukdir, but
Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Momin Abukdir. I'm the Deputy Director with the Office of Information Technology. Let me share my screen really quickly so you can see the presentation. Okay. All right. So thank you all for having me. I want to start off by sort of giving us setting the scene for what the Office of Information Technology does and the things that we consider as we sort of put together this proposal for a capital improvement program. So let's go to the next slide. Sorry. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of information on what we provide as a service, this is meant to be a little overwhelming. We do a lot and we have to manage a lot. And the reason we do so is because we are a centralized IT environment where we support every single department in Baltimore County, and a lot of other jurisdictions do not do that. They have different departments who have their own IT staff. Here in Baltimore County, we're a little bit unique in the sense that every single department, every single system, every single device, for the most part across the entire government, comes through our department, from procurement through security review, through implementation and project management. Any device that involves the transfer of information, phones, Wi-Fi, fiber, all of that goes through our office here. So, just to give you a little glimpse, the 311 office service where you can call in any constituent issues, non-emergency, that falls under the IT umbrella. BC Stat, our data analytics team, falls under IT. GIS all falls under our division. Cybersecurity, any asset management systems, our entire fiber program. So just to give you a sense, we have a ton of projects. And because we're centralized, what you're going to see in our portfolio is that there are enterprise solutions that benefit all the departments, but you're also going to see requests for specific specific projects that are really only benefit one department, and that'll sort of show the variance in our portfolio. So some of the major themes that you'll see over and over and over again in these in this budget proposal and the projects that we complete and that we use capital funding for are listed here, and I'm going to go through some of them just so that you can continue to see that everything that we're taking on really does tie into a long-term vision around us moving forward. So historically, I want to start off by sort of talking about how development of programs has really changed in information technology. Historically, you used to have, a developer who could program in a specific language, and they would customize a solution or application for a specific department to fit their very specific needs. And then after a few years, that would either no longer be supported, have some issues, that person would retire or leave, and then sort of we would have to move on to the next system once that one became very vulnerable or just couldn't get updated and was no longer being utilized. Sometimes it would even be too expensive for us to keep on. That's what I refer to when I sort of talk about in the growth section around technical debt. We want to reduce that because it does take on a significant amount of resources, both financially and people wise. So historically, that's usually how the development process would work. But more recently, we're seeing a lot more of these core pillar systems, large systems like Workday, Esri, Microsoft Dynamics, these large applications that you can build around and create different functionality and support multiple different departments in different ways. And so what we've tried to do is invest more in those systems so that it's easier to manage, it's easier to put rules and governance around, and it allows us to really kind of have support from a maintenance perspective, and most importantly, just have a system that is secure where the vendor themselves are providing that security. So a really good example of that is really our Esri platform. We utilize that for all of our maps and GIS, and so that's utilized across the entire all of the departments. Low code and we can even say no code development. A big part of that is that historically, again, people were developing in different languages, SQL, Python, etc. And now we're getting into solutions that may involve less technical knowledge to be able to customize and make use of a specific system. Again, some of the systems that I've already named. And so one of the big things that we're trying to move towards is these low-code solutions where departments themselves can jump in and have the bandwidth to sort of, and the technical ability to jump in and make some changes, customizations, and utilize these solutions. So it's not just the IT department doing things and providing services. A really great example of that, again, is our GIS program, which was led by our Chief of Enterprise Applications, Rob Livermore, where we kind of use this low-code solution for maps and with Esri, and really expanded that to many departments. And you'll see in a lot of departments, including planning, apps, et cetera, DPWT, they have GIS specialists that can utilize that system and create experience builders and other functionality there. The other thing from a development standpoint that we're really focusing on, because we have to deal with all of these different projects from different departments, prioritizing need, et cetera, it does sometimes get us into a situation where we're trying to get something that can fit for multiple people and then lose sight of the human component of the one department that really needs a certain thing. So it's very important for us to constantly focus on the humans that are utilizing our program, their experiences, and how they're going to function with that, even if it is very different across different departments. And so in order to make sure that we're constantly hearing that voice and capturing that voice, we started our human-centered design office, and we've been beefing that up as well by adding our web services team under that umbrella as well, to really strengthen the talent there, so that every time we take on a project, we're really listening to whether the constituents it's serving or the department that it's going to be serving, and making sure we're incorporating that as we develop the project from start to finish. From an operational standpoint, we're always looking to streamline processes and make things more efficient. And a lot of these systems, that's what they do. So you're going to see that over and over again, that they're taking paper processes, turning them digital, making processes for workers go a lot more cleanly, be more, and allow for the opportunity for audits and rules and checks in place to be able to make sure and document whenever changes are made, et cetera. The most, I would argue, the most important function of operations really is our cybersecurity readiness. One of the big things here is that because again, we're centralized, every major piece of software or system or device that comes in has to go through a security review that's done by our CISO, our Chief Information Security Officer, and they review the contract, and also by our Chief Technology Officer, and they review the contract. They make sure that our data is going to be secure with whatever system we're using. They make sure that support is, within the U.S. They make sure that all of these different things are in place to make sure that our data is secure, that it passes through securely, and that we're dealing with reputable vendors. So that's one aspect that we've been doing for a very long time. The other aspect is actually creating a security response team that will dedicated resources that report directly to our CISO. It used to be a team of 1, and now it's a team of 4 that are literally there to respond to any emergency that comes up, but also proactively look at all these tools that we now have in place to be able to really, identify possible threats early on and shut it down. Product lifecycle focus. This ties into the core pillar systems because what we're trying to do now also, as we sort of pick these core pillar systems to focus our energy on and develop, we want to make sure that as new things come up and new functionality comes up within these systems, and you'll see this with Workday, that we're constantly taking full advantage of the products that we have, because a lot of the time, some of these products have a significant number of services, and we purchase them, but we don't necessarily always take full advantage. And so part of that full product life cycle is to be able to see where we are. Are we 50%? Are we utilizing the system at 50%? Can we get to 75% to 100% and maximize the use so that we don't have multiple different systems and redundancy? And then finally, under operations, the full service data analytics. One of the things that historically with OIT we've been focusing on is we do a phenomenal job storing information for departments. Again, we provide all of the information technology services to departments, and I keep reiterating that because that's fire, police, every department, DPWT. We're in all of those different services. And so a big piece there is we secure the data, we provide the data, we host the data, and then it's the responsibility of the departments to sort of, once they receive the data, to use the data and find insight and information so that they can act on the data. And we actually now have a full service data analytics shop to be able to do it from start to finish. We can secure the data, we can host the data, we store the data, and then we also provide graphs, maps, et cetera, to identify insights for the departments to be able to act on the data. And then growth. Again, reducing technical debt. We don't want to have outdated systems that are security vulnerabilities out there. We don't want systems that people don't know how to, or someone retires and then you don't really have good support or knowledge of how it operates. And so that is our primary goal moving forward, is to continue to reduce our technical debt. In AI-enabled services, really what we want to talk about here with AI is, there's a ton of buzzwords and hype around AI, and people talk about the sort of shiny end product. And what we've been focusing on is a lot of our services and our solutions and our software have AI capabilities. So we're already AI enabled to a degree from that perspective. But a big part of that is our CTO working hard on creating a policy around how people should ethically use AI, how we want people to use AI, what information we want our employees to put into AI and what they can't put into AI. So teaching and training around AI and awareness around AI has been our focus for the last few months, and even probably longer than that. And the other key component that we're focusing on to get to a better AI product is really that last bullet around data management and governance. Because in order to really have a good product with AI, you really need the underlying data and data quality to be in really, really good shape in order for you to kind of produce a product that is reliable. And so we're focusing very heavily on data quality, very heavily on governance, and the rules and procedures around our information. So again, that really is, you're going to see a lot of those themes consistently come up into these different projects. And then the way that this rest of this presentation is going to go is we're going to go through a lot of the projects that we have closed recently, the projects that are currently active that were capital funded, and then our request for FY fiscal year 27. This is just a high-level overview of how we take in projects that then get considered for the capital budget. So we have a CRM team, a customer relationship manager team, that they work directly with the departments and our administrative office to be able to identify a need. And then once that need's identified, there's a vetting process where we take in that information through an intake. We see, are there any issues, funding, possible conflicts, whatever the case may be. We look at the project and then we sort of evaluate it. And then if it's sort of goes through that evaluation, we then put it through this portfolio of projects, and then we make a funding request. We see if we have different funding opportunities available to pay for it. And then if we need capital funding for it, we'll put it into a funding request as part of our capital improvement plan. And all of that intake proposed portfolio process, there's a significant amount of prioritization that happens there. We look at the need, the impact to constituents. Are there any legislative or regulatory changes that require this specific solution or change? And the cost, and what's available and our resources. So jumping into completed projects, just highlighting some of them. I know I don't want to take up most of your time. I just want to kind of go through if you have any questions about any of them that I may skip over. If I do skip over or I don't provide enough details and you want more details, obviously feel free to ask any questions. The completed projects that we've completed with capital funding. The first one is enterprise procurement. We used a vendor here to really create a transparent process around our procurement. Historically, we had a SharePoint site that we would put different bids out, and then we had it in different locations at times. And this was a real strong effort to centralize where all of our opportunities for bid get placed, all of our procurements get placed in this portal. At kickoff, we had about 6,000 vendors sign up for this so that they can now go into the system, see all of our available bids. They can bid there in the system. It's not a process where you have to download a form, fill it out, and then upload a form. It's all through this portal. So making that easier, making our government more accessible to people and digital was a big part of this project. So we're really excited about that. Acela platform upgrade. This was a strong effort that we took on to be able to really do a facelift for our Acela profile, Acela platform, make it a lot more accessible. It used to be on-prem store, and now it's a SaaS product. One of the big things and keys here is that it became a lot more user friendly. And so what it allowed us to start really doing is our inspectors now are able to utilize it easier. Acela touches on a ton of different things right now. We have it in our environmental health program where, for example, now we have the ability to have inspectors who go out like food inspections. They can go out, they have mobile devices, they can go ahead and immediately sort of tag and do ratings for restaurants, et cetera, all on that device, which they couldn't really do before. They would have to kind of take their information back and upload it to the system. Now they have the ability to do that while they're out. It also allows for businesses and residents to also have a one-stop shop to be able to access that information about different businesses. It also integrates now with our 311. So when somebody does put in a complaint about a code enforcement complaint or even a business like a food or related issue complaint with our environmental health team, now you have that integrated with 311. Someone can call 311 and get that information. The 311 call taker can get it. It used to be one way of communication. Now it's two ways. That's a big part of our Acela upgrade. I want to also, this is also some other things that were able to be done. I talked about sort of the 311 integration, but also one of the big things is that it allows us now, one of our most visited sites actually is our adoptable and lost pet site. And what this allows us to do now is as soon as someone finds a pet, a lost pet or an adoptable animal, and they sort of bring them in and they enter it in. They can enter it in on a mobile device. They can enter it in when they on any device, and when they do that, it's automatic real-time data. So literally within seconds, you have that showing on the website. So for someone who may have lost their pet or whatever the case may be, you know, and it was found by Baltimore County, then at that point or brought into a shelter, it immediately shows up as soon as it's entered into the system, which is something that you know, provides a better quality of service. Housing analytics, and this really boiled down to our ability to manage our housing vouchers for our housing department. And I'm not going to really touch too into this, but their system was really outdated, didn't have everything in place. And this has allowed us to really pull real data on people that are at risk of possibly losing their vouchers, and to be able to really manage the individuals that are receiving that benefit in our housing department. Well, Sky and aging, one of the things here that we were able to complete with capital funding with our aging department is individuals who need Medicare services will have to usually submit applications to the state health insurance program and assistance program. And what we were able to do with WellSky is now we're able to collect all that information to a system at our senior centers and be able to really help build out that application for them. So it's pretty much streamlined. They come in, they put in their information, and then we already have the application that's ready to go for SHIP. The other project that we completed recently with capital funding was the sheriff's body worn camera. So that was kind of, police already have that. It was building it out for our sheriff's department. A big piece of that was investing in the infrastructure, you know, not just the cameras, but also the center and the command center where they can watch the footage, protect that specific area because of the information and it's highly sensitive, and building out that infrastructure there. Energy management tracking. So we put together a system here that you know, it was at the request of our Department of Environmental Protective Services, but really does benefit everyone, including property management, et cetera, because it really allowed us to centralize all of our utility data. We can now look at energy consumption very easily for all of our different buildings, which ones are, you know, are using a lot of energy, which ones are not, and then looking at cost measures that we can put in place to make sure that, you know, we're decreasing that, and then there's an actual measurable way to track that return on investment. It also allows us to handle payment of our bills, et cetera, in a more concise way. Fire First Do. This was a major initiative. Some of these initiatives do come down and they are just a change in policy or regulation. And that's something that happened here, and we had to move to a new system. And this is our incident reporting. So this touches on really every single aspect of, where we track when a fire occurs, when there's an EMS call for anything. And so building this entire new system, making it more functional, more easily usable in terms of maps, et cetera, for our fire department to be able to really track where things are happening, what resources are responding, but also who's available to work and the time aspect of that, and integrating all that together. And the Beacon Fiber program, so a big thing here, this is our program to kind of bring connectivity. We did some programs in the past where we really tried to get, through grant funding and other funding, tried to get to be able to get as many homes as possible, get them network access. In the rural areas, it does tend to get a lot more expensive because you're spreading it, you're investing in conduit, et cetera. Down a very long driveway, or areas that you're only serving a few homes, et cetera. So we did a ton, but now it's sort of those last few homes that we need to really get service to. The other thing here is also just generally building more resiliency for some of our public buildings. So like the West Side Men's Shelter, Glenarm is another building, our county office building. We really are trying to build out the fiber in those areas to get better connectivity and resiliency in case something goes down, that those have more reliable service. Active projects, again, those were all the completed projects. Active projects, and I do want to be mindful of time. Active projects that we have going on, fuel tank monitoring system. This was actually through a consent decree. This is a federal requirement. We need to make sure that our fuel tanks, especially underground, don't leak. And this is a new leak detection program, monitoring program that allows us to see everything for our above ground and our below ground fuel tanks. It'll also give us the opportunity, like I was talking about, sort of integrating that full product life cycle, being able to integrate with our gas system, that now we can start looking at fuel usage by vehicle, et cetera, and really integrate that full thing in terms of how much we have and how much we're using and consumption. The Motorola P1 property and evidence module, this is a really great example of how we reduce technical debt by moving off a system that's very outdated. It only works on Windows 7. We have to migrate to Windows 10, and it costs, it's very expensive to stay and hold back migration over to a newer version. And so we needed to move on from our legacy system and get into the Motorola P1, which is also happens to be our major system for our police department in terms of being able to track all of our incidents and all of our criminal activity happens in that RMS system with Motorola P1. So moving our evidence system there, getting a big part of that is also infrastructure. So it's like scanners and whatnot. This allows us to go also into a completely digital process when it comes to evidence, and when to destroy it, when to keep it, when it gets scanned in, keeping track of it. So it's very important from an inventory standpoint. Paradigm is just being able to be able to take payments from commercial haulers at our landfills, and be able to do that and have them also pay invoices online. Baltimore County Builds is a long project, but that's our major initiative around permitting. And we're continuing to invest in that. New fire station alerting is creating a new fire station alerting system, and starting that process of building that in to a lot of our fire stations. I think we're starting with one and possibly two very shortly. And the goal there is also to build redundancy and to follow best practice, so that if signals can come through digital when there is a fire or some type of emergency for that needs a medic, but also it can come in through the radio. So we have two ways, and that doesn't get disrupted if, God forbid, one of them goes down. Civic Rec, that's just the ability to collect payment at our beaches, and to be able to make that process a lot easier than having people wait in a long line, especially during the summer season. County UMAX is our water billing system, workforce implementation, and I'll just go through our Workday. Workforce implementation really is, we have a ton of employees that have very unique schedules and shifts, like fire, police, 911, and our goal is to be able to really take a system that has that information, which is telestaff, a core pillar of our time management, and be able to translate that into Workday, which is also our core pillar of human capital and financial data. And then Workday LMS is our learning management system. Again, this is just the idea that you can build on these pillars applications and provide now a way to, we already have the human capital component, so we can do performance evaluations, et cetera, there. But now there's a learning management system that we're trying to implement where you can now, document and track training, provide training, and be able to now connect those two elements. And then in terms of portfolio request, this a lot of this is very expensive, and building on these core pillars is expensive. And so with Workday, our human capital and financial program, there's always the ability to enhance that service, and that's what you're seeing here. Let me just go to the slides for each one individually. So yeah, so the human capital and financial management, again, that a big part of that is continuing to provide service for that. So as you have these systems, we have to keep them up to date, keep modifying them to work for our needs, and in order to do that, it does get expensive, but it also saves a ton of resource hours for hiring individuals to do that type of development. On the cybersecurity side, this is an enormous investment in what we're trying to do. Again, we told you, we sort of highlighted the creation of the security response team, but one of the big things here is that buying products that give us the ability to prevent certain things. So some of it is infrastructure related, like segmentation, being able to separate networks. So if one thing goes down, especially our systems that may tie into like important infrastructure, like sewers, et cetera, pumping stations, those will be put on a different network than, maybe our other systems, so that they can continue to operate, or if there's an attack on one, it doesn't impact the other. Same thing we do. The other big thing that we do is around cybersecurity is identity management. So our chief technology officer actually Tom DeLuca had a really good saying that, identity is our most important firewall now. Pretty much malware and people trying to come in and attack through other avenues just hasn't been working as much, because of the fact that we have this technology and segmentation, et cetera, and all of these different AI functionalities to be able to catch them before they enter our system. But now it's all about identity management. It's all about people attempting to steal people's identity to get in and sort of be able to perform their attacks. And the really cool thing about these identity products is that they'll notify us very quickly when certain rules are triggered. So for example, a lot of the times when someone does steal someone's identity and they start sending out spam or different email out of that person's email address, they'll actually put in rules in their Outlook to be able to make sure that those responses aren't coming back like, hey, is this you? What's going on? And so we actually now have that technology to be able to see when that's happening and identify that. We also have another functionality around impossible travel, which gives us the ability to, if someone's logging in from Arizona and then logging in from Baltimore 20 minutes later, we know that that's not possible. So being able to flag that and immediately react. And so it's buying solutions like that, implementing those. The tax system, it's a pillar system. We have a specific vendor that does all of our tax bills, brings in billions of dollars of revenue, and it's important to keep that system afloat and to be able to continuously enhance that system for delinquencies, tax sale, whatever process occurs that relies on taxes getting paid. Making sure those reports and everything is functional and continuing to enhance that system is a big part of what we're spending here. Electronic government, those are projects similar to what you've seen with OpenGov, which is our procurement, being able to put out solicitations, even our point of sale products at beaches, getting payments. All of those provide the ability for constituents to deal with the government, to even our Baltimore County Builds project, with being able to apply online for permits, et cetera. All fall under this bucket. Public safety, a big component of this are some of the projects you've seen. So most recently we've had, like our criminal justice information systems guidance came out, and they increased their guidelines around security when you host information that is criminal justice information. And because they increased their standard of protection and identity management, it required us, in order to be in compliance, to get for anybody who has CJIS information on their device and works with it consistently, that they have card readers kind of similar to the federal government, where they can log in, and they have to log in with that card as well to make sure that it's more secure. So things like that pop up, and being able to use that for our public safety. Another thing is we're working on trying to build to bring in a system, IA Pro, which will allow us to do internal affairs or store internal affairs information for our fire department. We already use that system for police, and so again, focusing on a core pillar for a specific service and continuing to build it out for others is kind of the model here. And then finally, I believe the last slide, because I am thirsty and it's almost 30 minutes, Baltimore County Builds. That is our large land management program, and that really is getting permits to be online, faster service, faster development plan reviews, and we're continuously investing in that with a vendor, Acela, and that is going to be a long multi-phase project, but something that we are working on. Sorry, questions?
Thank you so much for your presentation. Do any members of the board have questions? If you do, please raise your hand. Mr. Holupka?
The Baltimore County build, you said that's a long term. What is a long term? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
It depends on the types of permits. Realistically, the trade licenses, plumbing, and some of the other ones, within this year. And I would say the longer land development,
Ongoing.
it really ongoing is probably the best term. Yeah, realistically 2 to 3 years. But again, it's one of those things where even like with Workday, we implement, we go live, but it's this constant improvement, build out more and more functionality. So, we'll be working on it for a while, but will it be functional? Definitely in the near future, absolutely.
And then just sort of a point of information. In one of the slides, I saw something about housing purchase and elite, and it went by pretty quickly. Is that the thing with the Department of Housing on housing vouchers?
Yes,
Okay.
elite. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you, Mr. Arpota. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Array, did you have a question or no?
Yeah, I had a question.
Sorry
Thank you.
about
By the way, wonderful presentation. Thank you. Now, did I hear you say that you will be migrating to Windows 10 or from Windows 10?
That's a great question. Migrating to Windows 10, but correct me if I'm wrong, Tom.
Now, in other words, the county, are they running on 10 or what?
We are running on 10.
Okay. And 10, of course, Microsoft is no longer supporting 10, effective last October. So what are you doing to cover that gap?
Sorry, Windows 11. We're migrating to Windows 11.
11. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any
Tom,
other
if you want to
questions from
speak,
the
yeah,
board?
if Tom, feel free to jump in, chime in, Tom. Tom's our CTO, but I'm not sure if he's available.
Yeah,
Oh, there
we've
he
been
is.
on Windows 10 for quite a while. The Windows 11 project is nearly done. We have some devices still on Windows 10 just because of application support that needs to be migrated to move them over. And we have extended support from Microsoft from those. So we are still patching. And we will not go any period of time without patching devices. That's part of the security is extremely important to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Great. Thank you both so much. We appreciate it. Okay, next, the Department of Planning will have presentations by Ms. Megan Benjamin and Mr. Steve Lafferty. We will accept questions following the presentation. To begin, I'm going to go ahead and invite Ms. Benjamin, but board members, please hold all questions until after both presentations. Thank you.
All right, let me share the screen here. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan Benjamin. I'm the Land Preservation Administrator in the Department of Planning. I will be presenting to you this evening on our progress as well as our capital fund needs moving forward towards our land preservation goals. With the capital funds for land preservation, we have been working for many years toward the primary purpose of our ag preservation programs, which has always been to preserve a sufficient amount of land to maintain a viable local base of agricultural production. We work towards this goal through a number of programs, some very importantly funded through the county capital budget. In Master Plan 2030, there was an included goal and action to increase the number of preserved acres through sustained financial support for conservation easements and agricultural land preservation programs, prioritizing protection of contiguous tracts of farmland in agricultural priority preservation areas and rural legacy areas. As of the end of calendar year 2025, we have 72,858 acres of private lands protected in permanent conservation easements in the county. This land preservation goal is about voluntary conservation of private lands. Voluntary conservation easements are a way for landowners to agree to limit future development while still maintaining ownership and management of the land. This graph shows the past 10 years' progress in preserved lands. As you can see, we've made steady progress each year, and a bit harder to pull out in this graph, but with the county's reactivation of the county ag preservation program, as well as sustained and increased investment in our county rural legacy program, we've been able to slightly increase our pace in these last few years. Since the passing of state legislation in 2006, the county has had a defined agricultural priority preservation area. The state legislation set a goal to preserve 80% of the remaining undeveloped land in each county's priority preservation area. Baltimore County's agricultural priority preservation area covers 126,912 acres, or almost 29% of the county. About 51%, or 64,926 acres of the priority preservation area have been preserved via permanent easements, forest conservation easements, and parkland. In Master Plan 2030, we added the action to protect 80% of the prime agricultural and forest lands, specifically in our ag priority preservation areas, in alignment with state goals. As you can see, we are just about 64% of that goal. This slide attempts to illustrate how various programs are contributing to the overall numbers, as well as the variety of options available to landowners. Our strategy to meet our land preservation goals involves a multi-pronged approach and helps us leverage county dollars for state dollars and private donations. So this graphic shows the proportion of acres that are protected through the different programs. The MOUth program, which is the state ag program, has always been a real foundational part of our land preservation efforts in the county. And so 39% of our protected acres fall in that program. Another foundational part of land preservation in Baltimore County has always been donated easements, so held either with Maryland Environmental Trust and or a local land trust, making up 27% of our preserved lands. Rural legacy, either county or state preserved properties in that program make up 19%. Our county ag program brings in 9%, and rounding out the total with 6% are the regulatory conservancy area easements in RC4 and RC6 zones. I wanted to include some information about the ag economy because of its ties to land preservation. Outside of the ERDL, farming is a leading land use. Baltimore County is part of a regional agricultural economy and is closely tied to the agriculturally rich neighboring counties of Carroll and Hartford in Maryland, and up into York and Lancaster counties in Pennsylvania. According to the 2022 U.S. Census of Agriculture, Baltimore County had more than 780 farms, which employ more than 5,000 employees across the region and produce over $92 million in direct farm product sales. Adding in tourism-related figures, the economic impact of all ag sectors exceeds $96.5 million annually by conservative estimates. These figures do not include the equine industry, a very important part of Baltimore County agriculture. According to a 2024 report from the Maryland Horse Council, Baltimore County has over 1.1 billion equine-related non-horse assets, and steeplechasing tourism contributes 1.87 million to the local economy. So I reiterate that a primary goal of our ag land preservation efforts is ensuring that the land base is available to maintain a viable, and I will add strong and growing agricultural sector, which is a very important part of the county's overall economy. With our capital funds for land preservation, we are moving forward some very important properties towards our goals. This chart highlights some of the different programs and progress we've made this year. MALF, which is the state ag program, the county ag program, and county rural legacy all utilize county capital funds. Of the 1,265 acres and 18 projects that closed this year, county funds went towards 8 of those projects. With our land preservation funding, we also have a number of projects in the pipeline. We have 12 easements making up 726 acres that are at different stages of the process to utilize county funds. And we are actively seeking applications for our MALF program. And county sponsors are accepting rural legacy applications as well. And in the fall, we intend to run a cycle of our county ag program. I wanted to highlight a few of the projects that we completed this past year. So on the left side of your screen, there is a 225 acre farm in the Long Green Valley that protects prime farmland, has significant scenic road frontage and scenic views. The top right, we have a 43 acre farm that adds to a large block of other protected ag easements. And on the bottom right-hand corner, we had a 115 acre farm on Mount Carmel Road, protecting some really significant and prime farmland. Several of these properties were properties where the owners had contemplated for a long time if preservation was something that they wanted to participate in. When they determined that the time was right for them, it was only because we had funds available that we could make these a reality. Making progress towards our goals requires the funds as well as willing landowners to participate. Our needs moving forward, Baltimore County has always been a leader and has been very successful in protecting our rural areas and preserving lands important to our ag economy and natural resources. But there continues to be work to do, and we need to make sure that we have funds when we have willing landowners to work towards these goals. So the MALF program has always been a priority to fund our contribution towards this program because MALF does have a matching funds program. We're putting $2 million annually in this category because even though they will only match $1.50 to each dollar we contribute up to a maximum of $2 million, we prioritize putting funds here because in doing so, the easements that are created are state held and there are efficiencies that come with that, both on the front end processing side, but also on the long-term stewardship responsibilities of these easements. The county ag program is also an important complement to the MALF program. It's been highlighted in recent years when the MALF program has moved to 2-year cycles rather than annual cycles because of state budget constraints. So we want to have consistency and options available to landowners to move the program and goals forward. And with County Rural Legacy, we've been very successful in working with our local rural legacy sponsors to get projects moving in this program. Again, we want to continue our momentum here and keep this program active as well. We've seen that dollars spent in these rural legacy areas also help to draw additional state dollars through the state rural legacy program when they are seeing county investments here as well. Our land preservation work contributes towards resiliency and sustainability goals in multiple ways. Our ag programs include requirements for soil conservation water quality plans to help ensure farming practices protect soil and water quality and boost sustainability and resiliency. Rural legacy easements have requirements for enhanced buffer areas and look to protect forest canopy on all of the different easements, requiring forest stewardship plans to manage large blocks of forest. There are these and multiple other ways that our easements help to maintain and improve natural resource functions. The photos on the screen highlight some of the sustainability functions that land preservation helps to provide. So focusing infrastructure inside the URDL, maintaining land for growing local foods and crop production, protecting large blocks of forest for carbon storage, as well as protection of our reservoirs and streams. The programs that these projects are administered through focus on agricultural and rural land preservation, which are focused in areas primarily outside of those areas identified with vulnerable populations. However, the public benefits of land preservation impact all members of the community, including underserved and vulnerable populations, through the benefits of clean air, clean water, maintaining viable agricultural lands for local food, and all the other very important public benefits which land preservation provides. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Benjamin. Does anybody on the board have, oh, sorry. I almost didn't follow my own directions. So thank you for the presentation. Next, we're gonna invite Mr. Steve Lafferty to begin his presentation.
Full screen. How do we make this full screen? Great. So thank you, everybody, for your time this evening, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. First of all, I want to compliment Megan and her team for the tremendous work that they have done on land preservation. As we know, we have an urban-rural demarcation line that really enables the preservation of land above the URDL. And Megan and her team have been a terrific advocate, not only for agriculture, but also for the preservation of land for the benefit of everybody in the county. So tonight's capital program on the countywide improvements really is about how we do things inside the URDL. But first, before I get into this, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the department, just to give a little bit of background. You know, we're pretty small. We only have 34 staff members. It is an outstanding group of, hey, keep on moving. I keep on doing this myself. Wait a minute, folks. Let me go back. This demonstrates my technological inabilities.
Steve, are you trying to share your screen? I had mine shared.
No, I wasn't trying to share.
Okay, which slide are you on?
It shows capital improvement program, but I didn't want to be there.
Which slide would you like to be on?
The original one.
This one?
Nope, go back one. Thanks. Thanks, Taylor. Sorry about that. As I said, we're a very small department. We're only 34 individuals. As most of you know, two of our biggest responsibilities are the master plan, which we completed 2 years ago, as well as the comprehensive zoning map process. Both actively involve you as planning board members. We have 4 divisions, the community planning group, which has 7 planners plus the land preservation effort from Megan, Joe Wiley, and Joe Wiley is included in that group. We have 1 planner per council district. Gane Jope is our division chief for that division. And they work in the communities continually, including currently the small area plans, which followed up on the master plan. Our development review section reviews all the development plans and reviews permits as well that are issued involving any property, exterior property, not interior work. It includes the landmarks preservation, commission, and I want to thank Planning Board member Muniz for her participation as a representative, and former member Hulupka, who was a longtime member of the commission. When Moen talked about Baltimore County Builds and that initiative, this is one which directly impacts the development review program, since it is intended to digitalize all of the plans review processes. This has been a very painful process, frankly. I'm not laying anything at Momen's feet, just that over the past 5 years that I've been in this position, this is something that we've worked to try to implement, and it has continually run into various roadblocks. So it's a very big challenge to get us into a time when everything could be digitalized and actually entered into the system without hard copy papers. I realize it is very complicated to transition over systems. Jennifer Nugent is our division chief and continually is working to not only engage the development community, but also to be responsive to the communities in which these developments take place. Another division is research, analysis, and design. They engage a lot of work from other agencies as well as our own, provide annual reports, the assessment of school capacity, do extensive mapping efforts, and in fact are leading this capital budget process. Jen Meacham is the division chief and in charge of these responsibilities. On the administrative side, as you probably know, Amy Mante is the deputy, plus we have various support personnel. And this includes our implementation team that's responsible for our capital program. This is a group that's only 3 individuals that are managing the program. We do not deliver projects directly. It is really primarily a grants program. It's strictly a grants program from funds that have been approved through the referendum and the voters. I will say that we have seen capital projects put into the budget as well by the county executive. And it, I think, is a testament to their respect for the ability to administer projects that are not necessarily in our own budget to begin with. Amy Menzer and her team are the ones who are putting together not only the budget program, but also delivering the services that these require. We're also engaged directly with communities and business organizations with not only master plan, but with housing, land preservation, redevelopment, and also with community building. Another initiative which is important as we want to stabilize and strengthen the existing communities within the county. So let me move to the capital budget directly then. Not advancing. Yep. So this agency mission was developed really by the staff a couple of years ago and describes how we see our role and responsibility to the county, not only to guide future growth and manage any change, but also to protect and preserve and to support climates that are really going to make sure the county remains strong and moves forward. So our capital improvement program really is guided by various factors. Obviously, the master plan is the primary one. From that is derived small area plans. We have completed one small area plan for on the east side that takes in White Marsh, Essex, Middle River, Rossville, and White Marsh. We also have 10 sustainable community plans. These cover almost the entire area within the Erdl across the county. These are state plans which we've adopted in order not only to make sure we have resources we can bring in, but also to lay out a series of goals and actions involving transportation, housing, the economy, and quality of life. We have commercial revitalization districts throughout the county. Right now, we have over 20. And in those areas, we are able to not only direct resources, but also to encourage the business organizations to foster more active live placemaking activities. And lastly, but certainly not the least, are community requests that we get from neighborhood organizations, business groups, and others throughout the county. Taylor, I'm struggling. Thank you. I appreciate that. So our funds are primarily used to support had been supporting county projects, but we pivoted about 3 years ago under County Executive Oshevsky's direction to really focus on communities and neighborhoods throughout the county. And while we support other county agencies, we really are focused on enhancing the quality of life in the older neighborhoods and by focusing on community development, revitalization, and sustainability projects. This could range anywhere from improving a community-based building like in Bowley's Quarters or Oliver Beach or Idlewild to actually creating a community sign and putting money into older properties that really need their property preserved. Funding has been inserted by the county executive over time, or like I said, because of his respect for our ability to administer such projects, and also awarded by competition as we did in previous years and are continuing to do, which will be highlighted in a couple of slides going forward. Thanks, Taylor. So our capital budget is set in the by the referendum in the even years. As you recall, we vote on various referenda in even years 26, 28. We are in the odd year 27. We have no additional funds coming in at this time. But I'd like to note that unlike DPW&T, Rec and Parks, and some of the others, we do not handle the capital projects directly. These are all through grants that we have distributed to applying organizations, sometimes solicited, sometimes without our request. But we have this, literally, it's a contingency fund that is open-ended so that we're not bound by any particular set of directives. Next, Taylor. So this is a very long list of funding grant that we've granted. I just want to highlight a few. I can't identify all of them for you, it's too long. But the Catonsville Emergency Assistance Center, for instance, which you'll see about in the middle of the page, is actually money going to help them expand the services and build out another structure that they have on Bloomsbury in Catonsville. The population they serve has been growing. They have acquired additional adjacent building and need to build out the facility so they can serve more and more of their residents. The next one is this called CIG, which is Community Improvement Grant 2.0. We have gotten approval from the county executive to put $1.8 million into a contingency account and to solicit grant applications from community groups throughout the county. This is a two-tiered grant with the lowest grant range between $3,000 and $15,000. The second tier being between $15,000 and $200,000. So very different kind of needs being met. The Essex CDC, which is a creation actually over the past 3 years, grew out of the Chesapeake Chamber of Commerce efforts, actually services the downtown of Essex as well as surrounding area, was granted $60,000 for a facade program, and the facade money from Parkville, listed at the end of the page here, excuse me, is actually funds from the state. We applied to the state of Maryland for facade improvement funds. They're now being utilized in Parkville and the Overly Bel Air Road area. This is just an example of our ability to obtain some state funding to help us meet our ongoing goals for revitalization. Next, Phil. And on this page, I just want to comment on the Glenn L. Martin Aviation Museum in the middle of the page. As many of you know, the Lockheed area and the depot across the street was used, were in play to create and help to build many of the World War II bombers and other airplanes that really helped to help us win World War II. The Glenn L. Martin Aviation Museum is volunteer run and has procured location or site on the actual Lockheed Martin property now. We are supporting not only the museum build out, but also their ability to display some of the treasures that actually derive from that era. At the bottom is the Hippodrome, and people may be asking, the Hippodrome? Well, the reality is that tens of thousands of Baltimore County residents utilize the arts and other facilities in Baltimore City. So the county does in fact support the Walters Art Museum, the Hippodrome, the zoo, and also the aquarium. So we've been asked to manage some of the funds that actually are needed to get them either HVAC improvements and other kind of capital changes that are needed. Next page, please. And lastly, I'll just point out two other examples. We can see in the middle of this list, the Kingsville Volunteer Fire Company. Volunteer fire companies are essential to protecting the safety and well-being of residents in the county. For this, it was simply their parking lot was an absolute mess. So they sought funds in order to improve that parking lot and help their vehicles, which, as we all know, for fire trucks are very heavy, in order to operate a little more easily. And the next to the last item, which again was not in our general capital budget, but given to, requested that we apply to the state, is for Lock Raven Overlook. This is an affordable housing development that will provide 120 residential units as well as some workforce support for the residents. This will be on the site of a old hotel that's being demolished just above Joppa Road on Lock Raven Boulevard. So our capital budget's a mix of funds that we've gotten from the state, mix of funds that the county executives have identified specifically for projects, as well as our $4 million contingency. And it is that contingency that has allowed us then to move to a lot of other projects. Next sheet, please. And I won't dwell here, only except to highlight those, the Music City, Maryland at the top. As you may know, Catonsville is our only arts and entertainment district in the county. And so they have sought a lot of resources over time between the Arts Guild and organizations like Music City, Maryland, to enhance the arts and entertainment opportunities in Catonsville. Can help that stand out and stand alone really as a resource in the county and also in the region. So we're very proud that we've been able to provide some funds to help them build out their property that you'll see in a few moments. I think you can skip over the next one, Taylor. Okay, and yeah, thank you. So I want to talk about a few of the specific projects that we have. This is not new to those of you who've been on the board. Security Square Mall has been on our radar and on our work list now for almost 4 years. Baltimore County has procured 39 acres of the 88-acre site. We are now partnering with City View Commercial, who owns 30 acres, to seek a redevelopment of the property. And this would entail all of the property that's shown in blue on the right-hand slide. There are still other owners on the site, which makes redevelopment a challenge, but nonetheless, we're very optimistic that we will get some development interest. And we have now, like I said, we have a RFP on the street, request for proposal on the street, that is actually due at the end of this coming week. When you have 69 acres to be potentially redeveloped, it provides a unique opportunity in the county. And frankly, this is the only time the county has really moved forward with a redevelopment potential process such as this. And like I said, stay tuned. We'll know very soon what kind of response we have. Next, Taylor. Liberty Road is another area in which the county's invested a significant amount of resources. Using the funds from ARPA, the American Recovery Action Plan funding, we are able to support the Greater Randallstown Community Development Organization. We have also been able to procure $430,000 from the state for facade improvement work. And the county has also put another $500,000 in capital funds to support facade improvement program. The Randallstown Community Development Organization has initiated an application process, and frankly is committed nearly all of the funds for various building improvements up and down the corridor. This past summer, they also supported and delivered a concert series, which had not been done in years, called Liberty Live. That's the top slide, really showing folks at the conclusion of the Liberty Live concert series. But by having a community development organization on the corridor, we're not only able to deliver capital improvements, but also to stimulate and encourage more capacity building within the community. It has been very successful to date, and they have other projects lined up to deliver. Next, please. Similarly, in Essex, there's an Essex Community Development Corporation, which again, we were able to stand up using federal monies. Essex CDC has been very aggressive in working with property owners and business owners in the area, not only to deliver facade improvements and a mural project, but also to enhance the opportunity to make the corridor much more pedestrian friendly, to make sure that the businesses that are there are thriving, and to make sure as well that people coming into Essex understand that the community as a whole is a very valuable entity. If you just get off the corridor a little bit to the east, the waterfront is terrific, and the opportunities are still untapped. But small projects such as improving the facades of buildings can make a huge impact on going forward. And that leads then to the facade improvement program, which, next slide, please, that we have initiated, first approved in 2024. And you can see there are different organizations that have been funded to actually deliver facade improvements in their communities. It is a range of those, whether it's in Arbutus or Idlewild in the central area, then to Essex and Dundalk and other places. The Reisterstown Improvement Association, which is also a Main Street program, has really been aggressive in trying to improve the buildings in their historic downtown. Next, please. And so I guess two of the things that we've also been extremely proud of, and I want to compliment again Amy Menzer and her team, is that the county executive approved the use of FY24 and 25 funds to provide a number of capital projects. And this was similar to now the round that we're in for FY26 and 27. It's no new money. It's based upon the referendum money that was approved by the voters in the for this fiscal year, and is for organizations to implement a wide range of capital projects within the URDL. We have, they're just completing actually the reviews of the applications for the fall 2025 round. We'll be sending over the recommendations to the administration for review and approval. And then we have another round coming open on May 1st that similarly will open up opportunities for people to, or community groups to apply for small or larger projects as far as up to $200,000. And then let me show you a couple of projects we've undertaken already that are also, I think, noteworthy, not only because of the way the community came together to submit an application, but the deliverables and a recognition of the range of needs in the county. So we were able to provide $100,000 for a project to build a Veterans Memorial Park and Pollinator Garden over in Edgemere. Again, all volunteer driven, to come together and help to not only recognize the significant contributions and by veterans, but also to create a place of that's peaceful for people to gather. Next. I mentioned the Catonsville efforts and the Arts and Entertainment District that exists in Catonsville. The Vortex is a Music City, Maryland initiative. This is at a park area right off of Frederick Road, where they host a number of concerts and other events. We've been able to help fund not only construction of a concession stand, but also to increase accessibility and to make it a more appealing and accessible place with better pathways, as well as then the landscaping that's so important. Next, Calico Cat Cafe is a pretty unique opportunity in the Woodlawn Village. This is a building that had hosted or housed a florist for many years, then went vacant. The community came together actually to create the opportunity to not only acquire a building, but also to renovate it into a community space that will operate as a cafe, a meeting place, and just a community gathering space, which Woodlawn Village currently does not have. Kudos to the Friends of the Larchmont community and others who sort of came together to really advocate for and then to pursue this vision, which could be transformational really at this part of the county, since Woodlawn Village itself is also frankly subject to a streetscape project we're doing with other funds from ARPA, but we'll all, with the support of the Security Woodlawn Business Association and others, help us to really make this a much more viable pedestrian-friendly community. And the Calico Cat will be a terrific gathering space for everybody. Next is the Natural History Museum, which most people probably don't know about. The Natural History Society of Maryland has a museum on Bel Air Road. And unless you're squeamish about dead insects, fish, reptiles, and other things, it's a terrific educational place to see actually what has been the natural history of the state of Maryland. They have been fortunate to get some state bond money, and we've matched that as well as they're completing their renovation and remodeling of the education facility with plans to really totally expand the exhibitions that they have. It right now has been pretty sort of innocuous. Nobody really has known it's there. Their enhancements and their building out hopefully will make it stand out in the community and become an even more significant contributor to not only to the corridor, but to the community as a whole, as it should be able to hopefully attract more and more people to not only visit the center, and they have a lot of students who come through right now to learn more about the natural history. And it can become an anchor really on that part of the corridor. And last, we believe that this fund, this amount of money that we've been able to invest in capital projects, not only has happened with community input, but really does foster sustainability and equity. We're seeing adaptive reuse of buildings. We're providing greater environmental and historical education. We are seeing improvements that improve energy efficiency and not only replace facilities that are not functioning, but to also make sure that we're finding some real beneficial uses in communities where they've not had many opportunities. And also our funding is consciously and intentionally being distributed across the county to try to be more equitable in the way that our resources are being distributed. It's not just the communities with the loudest voices, it's the communities often with the largest needs. And that's part of our goal and our obligation, I think, as a department. So I'm probably going on a little bit too long, but thank you, everybody. And thank you, Taylor, for bailing me out from my lack of technological sophistication tonight. So, and with that, take any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lafferty. Does anybody have any questions on the board for Mr. Lafferty or Ms. Benjamin? Mr. Brady?
Steve, going back to that project right above Joppa Road at the old hotel, are those low-income housing units going to be for sale or for rent?
Those are all for people at 80% of the median or less, with a reservation for people who are at 30% of the area median or less, Mr. Brady. It is a LIHTC or low-income housing tax credit project being done by Osprey in conjunction with the Community Assistance Network.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Holupka?
Hey, Steve, a couple of questions. The Security Square Mall project, who's going to be reviewing the RFPs? Is that just planning, or is that a combination of county agencies?
It is a combination. We have a representative from City View Commercial, a representative from the West Baltimore County Redevelopment Authority, and then 3 of us from Baltimore County government, including Jonathan Sachs from Economic Development.
Okay. Second question. In one of the earlier slides, it looked like $4 million is being requested for sort of improvements inside the ERDL, 6.4, 6.5 for agricultural. How does that split compare to what's been requested in the past, and how do we see that changing going forward?
The bond referendum numbers, the 4 million is consistent for each of the next 2 cycles, 28 and 30. The money for land acquisition it has increased. It was, and Megan can correct me, It actually changed in 26, and I believe it's at least a $2 million increase from what it was in 24, perhaps. So County Executive Oshetsky put more money into land acquisition.
Okay, so,
Megan, was that? What are
That's
the
correct,
numbers?
yeah. Mhm.
but then how much used to be in community? Because my impression is that there was even less in sort of the community improvement.
Yeah, I don't know historically what it was. It's been at the $4 million level since 2022 at least. So we've not, ours in actual dollars not diminished, although with cost of living and increased, inflation, it's changed. 4 million is less than it was, 4 years ago, but it's
Yeah.
been at that $4 million level.
And that bond request, that comes out of the county exec's office? In
Well, the
terms
bond
of,
request was a referendum item, so yes, it was recommended by the county executive and then for the voters to approve.
right, but I know, but
Yes, it
the
was in the
split,
capital budget
yeah,
that the county executive put forward for FY 26.
yeah. And then I guess a question, well, sort of a comment for you, Megan. I keep on seeing this number that agriculture is like close to $100 million in the county's economic portfolio. But my understanding is, county GDP is like 64 or 65 billion. So 94, whatever that was, 96 million sounds like a lot, but that's like less than half of 1% of the county's sort of overall economic capacity. So it sounds like a big number, but it's in relation to an even bigger number. And it's just sort of because it's the kind of thing that I've heard year after year about how big an impact it is. But it's a large chunk of the county's land producing a relatively small amount of the county's economic resources, as it were. So it's just a comment. You don't need to respond.
Mr. Luca, I'm not sure. I think that actually one of the slides that Megan had showed that the return, particularly on the equine side, was well over $100 million.
It was like $1 billion.
Yeah.
But even if you added those together, you're talking like 2% of the 64 or 65 billion that's the county's GDP. So it's just to help keep this in perspective when we're talking about how, when we say something's important, but relative to what?
Well, I guess part of the question, the importance is what are you measuring that is important?
Yeah.
Is it purely economic or not?
And I mean, I will just add, I added those slides and those figures because I feel like there's often questions about the ag economic impact. The numbers that I provided were on the conservative side of like direct farm sales. There's, greater impacts and, they may still be a drop in the bucket of the larger overall economy, but that is a prime focus of the ag preservation. The purpose of ag preservation is, supporting that ag economy, but there are multiple other impacts and results of land preservation, benefits that are gained, and reasons that the master plan, has carried forward those goals to protect these lands outside the URDL. So all of those maybe, focusing less on the ag economy, there are multiple other benefits of the land preservation efforts that are taking place.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you so much, Ms. Benjamin and Mr. Lafferty, for your presentations. We appreciate it. If there are no further comments or questions from the board, we will adjourn. I would like to thank all of the presenters for their presentations this evening. The next meeting of the Planning Board Committee on the Capital Improvement Budget and Program will be Thursday, January 29th at 5:30 p.m. The meeting will be held virtually. Information for that meeting can be found on the Planning Board's webpage. Thank you for attending tonight, and this meeting is hereby adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Right.